Look at that. Floor is glistening. She did a pretty good job today cleaning. I don't have to be married to have somebody clean my house or cook. I don't have to be rich to have a little pool outside the kitchen window. I don't have to be rich to have a driver. I don't have to be rich to have a personal assistant. Even though I might be firing the one I have, because turns out another gringo did a better job at making an appointment for me. Anyways, rico.toro. Hit that thumbs up as we get started. I'm gonna be all over the place. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be all over the place today. A lot of trending topics. So, yeah, glorious day, 5 p.m.-ish. In Sosua, on the north coast of República Dominicana. That's Dominican Republic. If you guys aren't even adept enough, is that a good word? Adept enough to know that República Dominicana is Dominican Republic. So, probably next week. They were just shipped yesterday. Next week, we're gonna have more La Familia shirts. So, as you'll see in the clip to follow, I'm taking La Familia orders, 2,000 pesos on the ground, or $35. You can reserve now via the Cash app in the description, as well as my contact info is in the description. If we are not Facebook friends, do not send me a Facebook message, because usually it will get filtered out before I see it. And I don't have IG. So the contact is in the email, as well as the Cash app. If you'd like to make any sort of donation for $2 or $4, thank you very much. But if you'd like to reserve your shirt, send me an email, your name, the size, and the Cash app, and you pick it up on your next trip. Otherwise, once you're on the ground here, you can hit me up, and we'll meet up, and I'll gladly bring you a shirt. There's a limited quantity. So, if you are watching other people's videos to place judgment on them, or because you have no content of your own without other YouTube videos, chances are those that you are reporting on or judging are in a better position than you are. I'm just saying. Anyways, ask yourself, are you happy? Are you happy? Because if the answer is yes, you don't have to think about it. And that's all that matters. I never question another man or woman's happiness. You know, as long as we're law-abiding citizens in whatever country or state or paradigm we exist, and we're all doing consensual adult things, nobody should be able to judge. So, interesting thing, you know, I don't get caught up on a lot of like American dating scenarios anymore. But something I was saying in a conversation to someone the other day. You know, I was watching one of the late Kevin Samuels videos, and I wasn't even really aware of who he was until right before he passed. But in this call, he's like doing a live stream, and he's taking callers, and this woman calls in, and you know, she's like, you know, says, I'm not settling. I want a man that like is a power broker, CEO type of dude, super alpha dude, you know, $200,000, you know, CEO type dude, you know, doesn't owe child support, or, you know, lives in a certain kind of house, lives a certain kind of way, you know, like the upper 10% of American men. And then he says, well, let's see who we're dealing with, caller. She's a 42-year-old divorcee with 3 children from previous relationships, 30 pounds overweight, and she only makes about $40K a year. And however, so basically she's in the lower like 70% of American women, or we'll say 50% at best. So he says to her, well, you're not exactly settling if you don't get a $200,000 a year power broker CEO type of dude. You're not settling, he said, because you don't deserve that. Because a man of that high value usually does not want to raise a lesser man's children, and you know, your value is a man that works the second shift at the power plant. Not that there's anything wrong with the power plant or second shift or whatever. You know, like most of us are just regular hard-working dudes, and you know, pay our bills, pay our taxes. You know, try to have a little fun when we can. So there's nothing wrong with that. He wasn't saying that. He was just saying that that's what you deserve based on what you bring to the table. You know, and you know, I like to use that example because, you know, there seems to be this thing now to where, you know, there's a lot of guys that are doing pretty well for themselves that are giving crazy attention to like a lower value, lower grade of women than they ever would in the past. You know, because so what it's creating is a lot of women overvaluing themselves. And, it's kind of like I heard like another guy say, a woman's like 40 years old. She makes $200K, wondering why she can't get another equal partner, same salary range, doing well for himself or whatever. And the guy says to her, well, usually a man that's already, achieved a certain level of success, at a certain age, he wants a woman that's a lot more agreeable. And often that means, he doesn't want a woman with more baggage and it's less agreeable, i.e., another 40-year-old person next to him. He'd rather have a younger woman that's a little more laid back, agreeable, and a little less baggage. I'm not to say who's right or who's wrong. These are just some interesting things I find. So, shout out to Brick City Flame. Shout out to Vincente. He's never here when I look for him. He's always back in the States when I look for him. But shout out to him, because I was hanging out there a little bit this past weekend. And he saw me on a security camera from the States and slid me a drink. So give a thumbs up if you like that. Even though I'm not really supposed to be drinking right now, I appreciate the brother for watching my videos sometimes and sending me a courtesy drink. So shout out to Coco Loco, which is a new bar right next to Brick City Flame. So, as you're walking up from the beach, basically, toward on the same side as Roomba, as you get a little bit close, you got like Cafe Cubano, then you got Coco Loco, Brick City Flame, across the street, the Chinese store, and then there's Roomba, Kings. So, yeah, Coco Loco is a, pretty new bar, and it's a pretty big restaurant. It's pretty big inside, actually. Back in the day, it used to be Club X, when that whole block was all just clubs and real nightlife. But, a former or a professional boxing trainer actually owns it. So, shout out to them. So, anyways, so a lot of talk about, dudes that, some people think that people that don't travel think that dudes that travel abroad are broke, which is the most ironic thing, because really it comes down to priorities. Because, last I checked, international flights are not cheap. And if you're taking several a year, not cheap. If you're, not cheap. Hotel, Airbnbs, airfare, not cheap. It's just a matter of priorities and personal taste. I forewent furniture or clothes or, newer TVs, different material things, plenty of times when I was living in the States, in order to squeeze in an extra vacation, because that's what I wanted to do. I have a friend that makes well over 6 figures, works for General Motors, and he's driven old cars the past several years, but yet he's every other month he's traveling somewhere. He has plenty of vacation days. He's approaching retirement. His house is paid for, or near paid for. So, is it a business decision? Is it about being broke, or is it just like what seems like a wise business decision and a more enjoyable, more rewarding life? Where others rather be at home paying a $4,000 mortgage to till they're 75 years old, not able to retire because they wanted to keep buying new cars and new things on credit, and never travel because of that. So it's not about being broke. Got another friend, retired postal service. So, it's very, not a millionaire, but very steady income, very steady pension, low cost health care. He's driven old cars for many years, traveled all over Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and it's just what he decided to do, having a ball. Does he owe you or anybody else any explanation? Is anybody seeking approval? Absolutely not. If you think your opinion matters, how someone else is living so much, you're not really living your best life. You're just sort of existing. Because when you're living your best life, you don't really place that kind of judgment on others that are. You just you just give them your blessing. And, so that's my take on that, no man or woman should ever judge or criticize another man or woman's happiness. Usually the ones that are judging are less happy than the ones being judged. I don't judge. I observe. I observe, and I might talk a little shit, but at least those that I observe, I do so on the ground. On the damn ground. Those I can see in front of me, coming to where I live to visit. I don't judge or observe a whole lot about, how others may look like they're living their life on YouTube or social media. I'd rather get out there and just, like I say, live and observe those living. But hey, if people are smiling, looking happy, God bless them. Shout out to you, by the way. Again, La Familia shirts on the way next week. So reserve one via Cash App, or if there's any left, if you happen to hit me up when you're in town, should it be in the next couple weeks or so, I'll gladly meet up with you and give you one for the 2,000 pesos or $35. Rico.t.toro. Subscribe if you haven't. Yeah.